Hello everyone and welcome to the KW Ranching Kitchen. I know this is a little bit different than normal, but it's a little rainy, a little windy, a little cold outside. So I decided to bring you inside. You are in the KW Ranching Kitchen this time, instead of outside. Not to mention, the wind chimes would have made it really hard to hear me talking. So I've been thinking, and it come to the realization that I have not made an info video. All you know is that we're the KW Ranching Kitchen and we are doing our best to put away food for the winter. But that's all you know. You know I'm Jen. Most of you know I'm Jen. You guys know that I have done baked goods, but you don't know, not everyone knows. Some of you do. I will give you that. Some of you do know that I started off 5 years ago as Jen's Baked Goods. I started out making breads. That's all I made was breads. I was actually known as the bread girl in town. And then it kind of morphed into more than that. I went from breads to turnovers to all sorts of types of baked goods. I used to sit up at the railroad tracks between Saranac Lake and Lake Placid, and I would sell my baked goods. I did really good too. And then the opportunity to open a store happened. So I went from Jen's Baked Goods to the Connection Cafe. The Connection Cafe was a handcrafted store. Everything in the store was handcrafted. I had other vendors in there. I did wholesale, where I would buy the stuff and sell it myself. Or I also had where they'd bring it in, I'd sell it for them, pay them, consigners. Haha, couldn't remember the name. And honestly, that did not go well for me. I didn't have the traffic in and out of the store that I had when I had a roadside stand. I actually had more business when I had a roadside stand than I did when I had a store. So after a year, we closed the store. And I started to go back to the roadside stand. And I did for a little while. And then I started not having the energy. I started not feeling well. I'd get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do my baked goods and go nonstop until I was finished baking for the stand or even for an artisan fair. Because I did quite a few artisan fairs too. After the Connection closed, I went back to Jen's Baked Goods for a while. And it just wasn't working. I didn't have the energy anymore. I didn't know it was wrong, but I didn't have the energy. And then during the Connection Cafe, about 3-4 years ago, John had it in his head that we were going to get Highland cows. Not only were we going to get cows, not only were we going to get these giant cows, but we were going to get giant cows with giant horns that we were going to put here. So we ended up starting the KW Ranching Kitchen. We've had so many ups and downs. We had a cow that somehow managed to rip her tail off. And we didn't know what to do. It was the first time we've had cows. It was our second cow that we ever had. We didn't even have, as many cows as we do now. We had 2 cows. We had Annabelle and Clementine. So we moved Clementine into the alleyway between the pasture and the outside, figuring we're going to get this spray that you spray on the cow's tail to make sure the infection doesn't happen and to help her heal. Meanwhile, she's also pregnant. She was due to give birth at any time. Well, John dropped me off at the Connection because we still had the Connection open. It was very rarely open, but it was open from time to time. And he went to Tractor Supply, picked up the spray, got home, and the cow was gone. The cow had knocked down the side of the alleyway because because we didn't know what we were doing, we put the alleyway on the outside of the pasture rather than the inside of the pasture. So when she got out of the alleyway, she was outside. She wandered off down a path between the pasture and the woods. And she decided to go munch some grass behind the pasture. And John had to figure out a way to get her back into the pasture, because cows are very stubborn. Very, very stubborn. You know the phrase bullheaded? Yeah, that goes for all types of cows. Not just bulls. Females too. Cows, heifers, you name it, they're all stubborn. So he had to set up what he called a cow trap to get the cow into the cow trap, to go into the alleyway, into the pasture all by herself. That was fun. Well, that was the beginning of our adventure with cows. We're a little bit more advanced now. We have a big barn, and we have 2 pastures, and we have a barn paddocks, and we also have a corral now. But we're also up to 10 cows, with 1 to give birth anytime now. Actually, it's Clementine again to give birth anytime now. That's 2 years ago. We ended up with 3 bulls in the pasture. We had Junior, which is our bull. We bought him to be our breeder to make more baby bulls. We had Pokey, and we had Andy. No, not Pokey, I'm sorry. We had Indy. Indy and Andy. We have Pokey now. And, well, we never fixed any of them. So we literally had 3 bulls. And near the end, they started to fight. And at one point, we were still putting the barn up. And we were in the barn. And the cows were in the barn. And Indy and Junior went at it. And they hit the side of the barn so hard that the entire barn started to shake. And I'm standing in the middle of the safe area of the barn, and John is over by the doorway looking at me going, Jen, could you come out here? You should probably move. And I'm just sitting there going, no, I'm good. But at the same time, I'm watching the beams of this barn looking like they're going to fall on my head. We've had quite a few adventures here since we've moved here. Like I said, we've been here for about 6 years. We had a bear knock in our front door. I had just got done a huge bake for an artisan fair. I was Jen's Baked Goods again, or at the time. And I had to do a bake, and I had all the windows open because it was summertime. And a bear came up and knocked the front door wide open. Thankfully, we had 2 dogs, and the dogs went nuts. Bark, 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 and drove the bear away. But, that could have been bad. We could have been home. I could have been home and in the kitchen. It was very tricky. Let's see. What other misfits have we had? This past winter, John had to jump the fence into the pasture to save Miss Sophia that we have in the barn now. Annabelle decided we have a beautiful barn all full of hay, nice and warm and cozy. And Annabelle gives birth into a snowbank. You would assume the cow would want to be warm. But no, she just goes to the part of the corral that has the most amount of snow piled up right next to the fence and decides to drop her calf right there. So John jumps into the corral, grabs Sophia, and dumps Sophia into my arms. And I hit the ground. I hit the ground so hard. Calves are heavy. That is another one. I think those might be all our adventures in cows for right now. I think I'll leave you guys at that. And next time around, we'll talk about something else from the KW, some other mishap or adventure that we went on. We'll probably tell you about hay. And that's all for now. Talk to you soon. Bye.